I am Jimbo Paris, and you are listening to The Jimbo Paris Show. All right, how's it going, everyone? I am Jimbo Paris. Welcome to The Jimbo Paris Show. Today we have Mr. Smith, Mark Smith. He's a specialized speaker, and he has experienced a lot of different trials and tribulations. And he's here to help motivate people, train people, and give people guidance.
Good afternoon, Jimbo. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. Good to see you today.
So, can you kind of give me a brief summary of who you are, what you're about, and what your message is?
Well, again, thank you for having me on today. I'm a humble man. I am what you see in front of you and what everybody sees in front of you is not the person that I was. And I always say I always strive to be better tomorrow than I am today. So modest upbringing, grew up in Columbus, Ohio. Great parents, mother and father. So I was fortunate to be raised. Sometimes a lot of our kids aren't raised with both parents in the home. So I was fortunate enough to have that. Both parents worked extremely hard to help provide for myself and going forward to help provide great education and good backbone. But I, like a lot of other kids, man, I decided at some point that I use that word, I thought I knew better. So I had made my mistakes in life, my trials and tribulations, had some consequences, actions for those consequences that I took. But again, I rose above some of those things and doing amazing things, not only in the speaking world, but right here in my city of Baltimore, Maryland today. So short, sweet, to the point. I'm sure we'll dialogue about a lot of things in detail.
That's quite interesting because, all right. I'll get into that too. But why the process?
I believe we all go through to get through. And some people call it evolution. I call it growth. And I'll dialogue in a few minutes of what I call what my backbone or my meaning of growth is. But I wanted to create something that everybody can utilize as a blueprint, a foundation that when they do hit those times to where they don't feel that they can go any further, when they're questioning who they are and what their existence is, and when they just really need that guidance or that step, the ability to take a step back so they can grow forward. So I decided back in 2000, late 2018, 2019, that I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to listen to something that will help them move in a different direction. And I said, I've listened to a lot of speakers. I've spoke quite a bit, but I said, I want to do something different. So why not use acronyms to give somebody a message? I know playing football back when I was in high school, our coaches would bark out different things and they would use acronyms or signals or calls to make sure that we understood what we were doing. And in fact, the matter is we retain in short spurts. So to use an acronym, it will draw an attention to somebody, let them truly think about what we're talking about, and then at the end of the day, apply it to what makes sense to them in their life. So I just felt I inclined to no longer be selfish, share my life, share a vision, and share a passion to help people, as I say, Jimbo, grow forward.
And what acronyms are your favorite?
Growth would probably be one of my all-time favorites. And I said growth stands for gradual reminder, obstacles will test hope. Growth. If we break down what growing means or perseverance means, it means going through different things in our lives to push us to be better than what we're truly called to be. That gradual reminder, meaning that every single day there's something in our lives or some significance in our life that reminds us where we are and should point us to where we want to go. Now, I've always said an obstacle is an opportunity, right? We sometimes feel sorry for ourselves and think of an obstacle as something that's going to prohibit us from getting to where we want to go. But we really need to rephrase our mind and think about that's really an opportunity. Something is coming for me that I truly need to roll with. And then the will test hope aspect of things. A lot of us, including myself when I was younger, I didn't believe in who I was. I didn't believe that the skill level or the experience that I was going to eventually adapt would be enough. So I was always questioning what was to come. But you can never question the value of hope, because without hope, you have nothing. So you have to always remember that there will always be something that's going to test you, but you have the capability within inside you to rise above. Because I'm gonna put it quite honest, there's not a situation that any one of us has not that hasn't been presented to us that we have not gotten through. Right? It may not, the outcome may not have been what we wanted, but we got through it. So our track record is 100%. And I like those odds. I really like those odds based on everything that we all go through.
And what was one of your biggest growth phases?
I would say a relocation. Back in 1999, I'm about to you're about to get my age out there now. But back in 1999, I made a decision that I wanted to relocate from Columbus, Ohio to Phoenix, Arizona, not knowing a soul. 1,900 miles away from an area that I had been grown up in, fostered in, had all my friends in. Everybody was there, and you'll hear me say, I'm sure in a few moments, how I really adapted the mentality that comfort is a casualty of growth. So I became comfortable, quite comfortable in that life, and I knew I was stagnant. Truth of the matter is, I had two young sons. They were 7 and 8 years old, and I saw what I was going through and what I went through in my life. It wasn't a bad life, but I wanted more for them. I wanted them to be able to interact at all levels with all types of individuals. I wanted them to have a multicultural experience of everything there is to life, so they can continue to grow and prosper and hopefully raise my grandkids in that type of environment. So was a scary experience. It was I talk about change, and when I equate change, I excuse me, when I equate growth, I equate change. And when the fact of the matter is, I always tell people, most people, Jimbo, don't change till the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. So I needed to change. I needed to grow. I needed to get out that comfort zone, and I needed to stretch myself to see exactly what Mark was truly made of. And we all fight harder for those that we love than we do for ourselves. So knowing that I had two young boys, two young men who were always looking at me as being the shining star and their guiding light to their future, I knew there's no way that I could fail. And by fail, I mean there's no way that I would stop pushing to be excellent for them, to give them a life that they truly needed. So that would probably be one of the first ones that I say that would be a true test of my hope and my faith.
Now, this test, how do you test others now who follow you?
Uh, I try to be an example. What I mean by that is I talk a lot about time, right? I talk so much. Anybody who's heard me hear me always bring up the fact that we all got the same amount, 86,400. That's the total number of seconds that we all have in a day. And you can't carry it over. You can't deposit it. Once it's done and that clock rolls over, it's done to the next day. So I challenge everybody to maximize what you do with your time. It's precious. It's something that we all need to embark. I always say that, it's priceless. Time is priceless. You can't own it, but you use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once it's lost, you'll never get it back. So what is your task to do with that time that you have every single day? Are you going to leave somebody bitter, or are you going to leave somebody better? I challenge them to make sure that they are doing what they need to do to make everybody around them a better person. But it starts with you. It starts right there in that mirror when you first wake up and you decide, right? We control the thoughts we think, the actions we take, and the visions we see. So I challenge every single body every single day with that 86,400 to be the best you that you can be, and live with no regrets, man. You can't live saying, if I would, I should, or if I should have. You got to take control of your life and make things happen.
What's the first step to taking control of your life?
Being accountable. Being accountable. being accountable of who you are, not passing the blame, not saying, it's such and such's fault that I'm this way. My father was an alcoholic, so I'm gonna be an alcoholic. No, 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 no. That doesn't define your story. Be accountable to where you are in your life, and then also think about where you want to go. And see, a lot of individuals, again, and I will say myself, because every writing that I've written or every message that I've written inside the process, I open up. I open up in dialogue about things that I saw, I experienced, or I witnessed. And hypocrisy is something that nobody can ever slap Mark Smith and say, yeah, he's a hypocrite, because I talk about all those things as well. So you need to truly be accountable for who you are and what you need to do. Secondly, you need to have integrity. Integrity, doing what you know you're supposed to do when nobody's watching. When the fact of the matter is, Jimbo, somebody's always watching us, whether we know it or not. Somebody's watching. The next step I would say would be you need to take responsibility for your life. You have that power to take responsibility for your life. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to us. And the last one is respect. Man, where is that gone? Where has that gone? See, individuals can agree to disagree, but you still are owed the respect of who you are as a man and as a woman. And then you shake hands, or you not shake hands. You again, as I say, you agree to disagree, and then you move on with your life. So that's how I feel that you take control of where you are to get to where you need to go. You must be accountable. You must have that integrity. You must take responsibility, and you must show some form of respect and respect yourself enough to take those steps to get to where you want to go.
And how did you start taking, well, you probably already were doing this, but how did you apply this accountability to Ohio State University? And you could kind of get into that whole story.
Man, I realized that the instructors are tenured, right? They don't care if I showed up or I didn't show up. They were going to get a check. But I had to realize that it was up to me to get in and do the work. It was up to me to have that discipline to get those assignments done, to forego going to a party, to forego not going out on a Saturday night when it's a big party going on, to sit down and try to buckle down and study, because at the end of the day, man, I have to get, or attempt to get, and put my best effort to get to where I truly wanted to go. And it took a lot of discipline, and I failed a couple times, man. I didn't do this in a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. I did over a couple terms of presidents, right? So it wasn't something that was automatic, but I learned. I got tired, and that old saying, get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't want to be that point that got sick and tired of watching opportunities go away that I squander them. Man, I just couldn't do it anymore. Wasn't going to do it anymore. And like I said before, I wanted to be the best that I could be, and challenge myself to do that on a consistent basis.
Now, you mentioned challenging yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where we get into your belief system on growth and change and those sorts of things?
It starts with that, because I saw so many of my friends that were incarcerated, passed on, individuals who weren't doing anything, staying stuck in the realm of what they were doing and not having the aspiration to grow. And I wanted more out of life. I just couldn't be that status quo. I mean, they look at African American men as a statistic anyway, right? They think that you're only supposed to achieve so much, and then that's where the ball stops. They look at us sometimes and say that they're doomed for, or they're destined for doom. And I wanted to help rewrite some of those things, because I'm responsible. I'm responsible for helping young men and young women, and I've been that way. When I played sports in high school, I was responsible to 48, 49, 50 guys every snap that I took. I was responsible to execute my job. And so that did make a difference in my life, making sure that I was taking accountability of what I was supposed to do. And again, it's all growing. It's going through your ups and going through your downs, your wins and your losses throughout everything that you do in life. But if you don't learn something from everything that you go through, man, it thwarts the successes that you have. So, man, I've learned from myself, just like most everybody's listening today. I'm sure you learn more about yourself in the losses than you have in the wins, right? We forget the wins, we do some of them, but we sure the heck remember some of the losses because they taught us what some of the things that we truly needed to know to help us move to the next level.
Excellent. And you were also an award-winning Strive. That seems to be a very big thing among a lot of urban families and even within a place like Maryland.
Mhm.
What happened there?
Strive stands for Support Training Results and Valuable Employees. And there's 13 locations across the United States, and they have locations internationally. So what I do is I work with men and women. The majority of them are reentry, been in prison, just getting out of prison. Some of them have never worked in their life. Some of them hadn't had a job in 20 years. So I work and help develop a 3-week intense workforce development, mind changing training. We start with their mind, right? We know that when we get them out of that stuck in the rut thinking, when we get them out of the woe is me, that challenges them to start to believe in themselves. And then that's when, I try to pick them up and polish them off and get them ready for interviewing. Show them how the effective resume is written, the what is the purpose of a resume. And then from that point on, we help them with interview techniques. And at the end of the day, 3 weeks, they get their hopefully they get employed, because we have individuals that come in and interview them. And matter of fact, 4 hours ago, we just witnessed cycle. I just facilitated cycle 266 graduation. So these young men and women graduated from our program today, and now they're ready to go. Some of them say that, thank you, Mr. Smith, for believing in me. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for pushing me. And I always come back and say the same thing, Jimbo. It's not me. You just needed somebody that would actually push you to really believe in yourself. It was in you. And that's the same thing that we all need in life. Sometimes I used that adage a few minutes ago, comfort is a casualty of growth. There needs to be someone or something that actually wakes you up for you to challenge you to be better than you truly are. And this program, I've seen it work so many great things, and produce so many great men and women that are not only in Baltimore, the New York, New Orleans, Kansas City, Atlanta. I mean, these men and women are doing phenomenal things right now, giving back to their communities, giving back to individuals to make them successful. So I'm very honored, very happy to facilitate and run that program.
And how did you develop the belief in yourself that you could take lead and sort of guide these people?
I never had, growing up, I didn't have the services that are there today, the resources that are there for individuals today, i.e., a Center for Urban Families, a Strive program. It's a program in Washington, D.C. called CSOSA. And there's various programs that are like that across the country. So when I had those thoughts of being able to, needing someone to talk to, or needing a training program, or needing something to help motivate me and push me forward, I didn't have that. And when given this opportunity to give this back to young men and women, and grown adults as well, man, it just encapsulated me and said, wait a minute, we are all called to serve. I want to rewind for a few moments. Growing up, I talked a little bit about the dynamics of me growing up, but and when the first one, and I chronicle about it, I lived life transactional. And what I mean by transactional is I use that old acronym WIFM. What's in it for me? How are you going to benefit Mark? That's how we can best deal with each other. But I slowly but surely learned after college, through going to work on assembly line at Honda, going on and relocating to Arizona, working at the University of Phoenix, going to an employer in 2018. They closed their doors on me. I realized that, wait a minute, you're still not getting what you're designed to do. You're still not getting it. And as soon as I changed my mindset from living life transactional to living life transformational, then that's when doors opened for me. That's when I start seeing things from a bigger picture. Jimbo, I've said something, many people can see, but not many have vision. So I started taking things from what they were, taking and looking far beyond what I see right there, and then trying to work my way backwards, connecting the dots. So this particular program again has given me the skill set and has given me the ability to not only continue to talk to individuals but help them reach some of their goals. So it's about change, man. It's about that change that we all need sometimes to get to the level. Oh, excuse me, to get to the levels that they need to get to.
Can you give one specific example on how you or maybe one of your clients used vision?
How their vision, I'm sorry?
Vision versus trying to just
Oh.
see. You mentioned that before.
There's one young man that graduated a couple cycles ago. For his own privacy purposes, I'm not going to say his name, but I always ask them, when they start talking about some of the things that they want to do or they're going to do in life, I always talk about what would you do for free if you could wake up every morning and do something for a passion. What would that be? And as one young man told me, he said that I would love to be a sportscaster. I said, oh, really? Why a sportscaster? He just said, I'm entangled in sports. I truly love the game. I never played, but I've always liked the game. And he said, I've even done YouTube videos of me calling out sports and doing things with that. I said, well, send me a copy. Let me see what you got. So he did. I told him, I said, how passionate are you about this? He said, I'm very passionate. I said, okay. I know two gentlemen. One of them is actually hosts a sports show locally here in our area. The other gentleman does a Facebook Live as well as a YouTube dial-in sports show. I want you to send him your tape, and I want you to tell them that I said for you that I recommended you. So he did. A couple of weeks later, he returns back and calls. He said, I got an interview to talk to them about what I'm doing in sports. I said, are you ready? He said, yeah, I'm ready. I said, okay, we'll see. So fast forward, this young man, not only did he graduate from our program, he started out as an intern with Fox Sports. Now he has his own show now with Fox. And literally, this was less than a year ago that he went from just thinking about his dream to executing, to acting on his dream, to executing his dream, to living his dream. And that's just one story, man. I have young men and women who actually own businesses now. I have young men and women who are actually CEOs of companies now. Young women who I've had in contact with who basically just getting out of prison, who are actually working in some very prestigious companies right now. So it's so rewarding to see them for them to see the fruits of their hard labor for just believing in themselves, man. And I think that's the biggest passion that I have with this is when I go around and speak, when I have an opportunity to do lunch and learns for different organizations, when I've been on this stage in DC and just recently in Mobile, Alabama, having individuals, men and women alike, believe that they can get to where they truly want to go if they believe that they can execute their dream and live it out. It just becomes their quest to get it done.
So, what do you think is the role or purpose of a mentor?
The role of a mentor is to listen. One thing that there's a job that I had, man. I had a job as a admissions representative at the University of Phoenix online. Right. I made 100 phone calls every day. I called people all across the country, got hung on 2.7 million times over a 4 or 5 year period of time. But I was talking to these individuals about their past and their quest for education. Now, granted, it was a business opportunity for me because I was tasked with enrollments, right? I had to get so many enrollments, but it taught me one of the most valuable skills that we all have to have, and that is active listening. It really embraced the fact that I have to listen to what individuals are saying and be able to equate that and give it back to them in a way that they make themselves embrace it. They said it. So I'm just basically, or was just basically going through and retorting what they said to me. Now, the next step is figure out a plan on how to get there. So that will, that is a huge key in life is for a mentor to truly listen to what those that are challenging you or speaking with you what they're talking about. Really, because we all have some relatable skill in some way or some form. The same things or challenges that you've had, I may not have had the same exact challenge, but I've had something similar that we can dialogue about and figure out what worked for me, what didn't work for me. Those cautionary steps or those things that, hey, wait a minute, you might want to rethink this portion of this process of what you're thinking and look at it this format. Now, I really try to change the narrative. And by that, I mean change the mindset of the way we view things. See, we're so accustomed to view things and by what society tells us is if this is doom or gloom, or this is happening to us for this particular reason. Well, is it really doom or gloom? Or is it that proverbial pause to get us to refocus and get ourselves back together? Is it really a thwart in our progression, or is it just that time to get us to push back for 1 minute and rethink the next steps and see if these next steps are calibrated right through the work that we've done in the past? So that what I would say is the role of a mentor. He or she has to really listen. He or she really has to draw on their experience, but not be overbearing with that experience, because there's no right or wrong way, but really be able to listen, embrace what they're going through, and be there for them. And then when they get them through, challenge that person to go help somebody else to get through. That's my definition and role of a mentor.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to this, you said that you learn a lot from your losses. What were one of your biggest or one of the most educational losses you've had?
I'm going to say it was probably the loss of my father. And I say that, we all have loss in our lives, right? We're all going to lose loved ones. We're all going to lose good family, friends, and things that people that are close to us. And I say that because, I went through, and I chronicle about in several of my episodes inside of the process, we had a strained relationship growing up. And that relationship was strained due to my own self-absorbance and self-ignorance. And so he worked extremely hard to provide for us, but I took that I was being selfish and saying that he didn't want to have that time with me. And it went to 2003 when he was diagnosed, with 2001, and he was diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer. And, I felt so bad. I felt, man, I wasted so many years of my life not being a good son and not trying to mend the relationship that I put the wedge through. It wasn't him. He always was there. And from that point on, I mean, we mended that. He never held any harbor feelings. We took trips together. I mean, he would come, at that time I was living in Arizona. He would come out to Arizona, see me. I would take him to Las Vegas. We'd have a great time. Again, we just built that relationship up. And then in 2003, on November 19th, I got a phone call that from my son to let me know that my dad had passed away. And coincidentally, Jimbo, that day that he passed away was November 19th. That's my birthday. So he passed on my birthday. And I went for so many years, man, being angry at that day. Why would God do this to me on this day? Why did this have to happen? And had not been for the blessing of a beautiful woman, my wife, who basically got me to really think about the bigger picture, not just the now, but the bigger picture of, Mark, this is the day that God took your father home, but he gave you life. You had an opportunity to rebuild a relationship with the man that you respected more than anything itself. So why wouldn't you feel rejoiced or happy on this day? Because that's exactly what this day is meant. So that would have probably been another step, or what I like to call defining moments in my life that really made me grow, man. I had to accept the fact of that loss was not a loss. That loss was a gain. He's no longer suffering. He gave me a lot of wisdom. I think a lot about some of the things that he said while he was in the basement with his friends watching the Cleveland Browns, and I was at the top of the stairs being nosy and listening. Some of the messages, some of the things that I go back and say now are results of some of the conversations that I heard. But that, man, I think that was probably one of the most challenging times, one of the most demanding times, and one of the times it really called for me to understand far beyond what I could see. That started the vision aspect of who I was going to be.
Excellent story. And I think another challenge you went through, I think it happened a week before Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. 2018. Again, I use that statement, comfort is a casualty of growth. I was working for a for-profit school, and I was working as a career development specialist. So I traditional day, I was going in, meeting with young men and women that were medical assistant students, electrical students, IT students, and I was talking about dressing for success. I was talking about verbiage, things that you can say, you shouldn't say in interviews. I was talking about illegal interview questions. Just your typical day of trying to educate them on what to be prepared for, because the majority of them had like 2 weeks before they were going to graduate. Well, when I got done with that conversation, I went back to my office, and like all of us inside of the office, we had the phones. That red light came on. That means a voicemail. I called it the money light. Right. Anytime I saw that light on, I knew there was somebody who was calling me potentially to talk about some of my students, and that was the case. There was a doctor from John Hopkins who was looking for medical assistant students, and there was a electrical engineer at Dietz and Watson in Baltimore who was looking for electrical students. So I'm really excited. I'm thinking, yes, this is going to be a great, great day, great end of the year, potentially meeting my quota of students that are placed. When my campus president came and knocked on my door and said, Mark, I need to see you in my office. And man, like all of us, when we hear that, something like that, we're thinking, I'm going to the principal's office. What did I do? What's going on? And when I walked in, he had told, it was him, it was the regional director and all the other managers in there. And they told us that they were closing their doors right now, today, closing their doors at 5 o'clock. So I had no job. I was put all my eggs inside that basket, thinking that I was going to be at this company or be at this school for the rest of my life. I was going to retire from there. But, God, again, has that plan far beyond what I could see at that point. And I went through a period of those 7 stages of grief, your anger, your frustration, your upset, all those things for a period of time, man, until I really grasped that this was a message. This was a message that truly it needed to ignite me again to make sure that the change that I was making, or changes I was making in my life, were growing forward. And that's when I adapt the saying that I always say. I said, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but rewarding at the end. And that was hard. That was hard at first because I had never lost a job. I quit jobs. Jobs didn't quit Mark. No, I had never lost a job before. So it took that whole mental aspect at my age to think, hey, how am I going to do this again? With the experience that I had, nobody wants to pay me what I needed to be paid. But also, man, at that time, that was the door. That was the sign. That was the blueprint to release and begin to formulate the process.
And I notice on your shirt you have a logo. Can you maybe give a bit of a gist of what that whole thing means, the process, and what that logo actually symbolizes?
Absolutely. In the back, it shows that there's 2 lions. There is a one lion that's standing in between another lion, and it just simply defines knowledge speaks and wisdom listens. Now, a lot of times we are quick to talk or quick to act on different things, and we think we know everything. When the fact of the matter is, the school of the world is at the feet of an elder. So when an elder does speak, we should embrace what they are saying to us and take it to heart, because they didn't get to be elders overnight. They've gone through things that we have yet to see. So that's what I said. When I release the process, I want my logo to represent knowledge speaking and wisdom listening. We're the torch, right? We're the torch that's being passed down to us, for us to continue to pass down, for them to continue to pass down to everyone. So all collectively, we have that same knowledge, we have that same wisdom for us to build a remarkable world.
And speaking of building this remarkable world, what do you see this world being?
I see it needing a lot of work, but I still say it's still simplistic, Jimbo. Life was meant to be simplistic. we've convoluted it with so many things, with jealousy, with greed, with admiration, with all those things, with money. Now, don't get me wrong, we have to survive, and unfortunately and unfortunately, money is a catalyst of us surviving. However, it still goes back to a basic premise, right? This world was built on accountability, integrity, responsibility, and respect. That was the foundation. And that's how I initially started the process, with that message of the foundation. Because if we all take the time to go back and revisit that, if we all take the time to keep those core values inside ourselves and execute them, right? We can keep them in all we want to, but if we're not executing them, if we're not applying them and utilizing them on a daily basis, guess what? We'll never move to the state, to the greatness that we truly are called to be. So I believe that is the state. That's why I enjoy doing what I do in Baltimore, man, and across the country, is because it gives me an opportunity to share a vision, to share a passion, to share that this can be done. The man that you're looking at right now, man, he made some mistakes. He made a lot of mistakes in life. There were consequences for those mistakes. He made a lot of bad choices. He continues not to make, he strives not to make the bad choices anymore, but he's a human being. So what it does is puts us on, again, another opportunity to take things to another level, to heal something that's hurting, and that is internal man.
Great. But again, I'm assuming after that, you became the vice president of MACCA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a high-end career counseling job. And would you consider counseling to be different from other things like coaching and mentoring, or are they all the same in your
I
eyes?
think they still have the same premise, right? You are offering, you are a resource to help people get to where they truly want to go, and you're just doing it in a different capacity. In that capacity, with the Mid Atlantic Career Counseling Association, is workforce development. It's really what it is. If you boil it down, it's workforce development. It's going through helping individuals who are either trying to increase their wealth or their knowledge to help be promoted, and or those who are having the ability to, who unfortunately are unemployed and looking for resources to get them back inside of the workforce, whether it's resume development, whether it's practice interviewing, whether it's employment fairs, just surviving, or excuse me, including resources to help them grow. You know, I tell this story. I told that story about 2018 when I lost my job. I got into this workforce development and Department of Labor because I lost my job. Right, I had to go in the state of Maryland. You're required to participate in a federally funded program called RESEA, who you have to go in and you have to sit for 8 hours, and you have to listen to individuals and listen to things about unemployment, right? Mandated if you want to get your employment. And that's when that light sparked and said, wait a minute, with my career, with career advisor, with education in my background, with understanding employment attributes, this might be another career path or another element for me to go. And glory to God in my, for me, the lady who was facilitating that particular class that day pulled me aside and said, I think that you'd be a great facilitator. Why don't you take an opportunity and apply for the state of Maryland? And I did, and received the opportunity with the Department of Labor, and became a facilitator of that same program, of which I was actually in the class for. So I get things work themselves out when we really least expect them. When we think it truly is doom, it's really an opportunity, man, for us to move forward. It was truly a gradual reminder that the obstacles were going to test my hope, growth.
And you also work with certain types of assessments as well, right?
Yeah, I've worked with all types of career development assessments, workforce development assessments, testing for programming, all those types of things. And again, I some of them I believe are Skewed. I'm just going to say the word skewed. I don't think they give you the true assessment of a person. I always tell I used to tell my wife all the time that there's one measurement as an old football coach as well as a counselor. There's one measurement that you can never test. It will only show over time. And that's the test of your heart and your will. So sometimes those assessments, those tests don't capture what's in a person's heart or in their will to survive or their will to win. So I think sometimes that we take too much of credence on a test or an assessment versus when we really shouldn't. That shouldn't be the ultimate criteria of how we move forward or how we escalate inside of our career and or in life.
Excellent. And now that we've kind of talked a lot here, let's take a brief look at your website.
Okay. So I really enjoy my website. It has a countdown on it. It talks a lot about who I am, upcoming events. I'm very fortunate and blessed to have 2 radio shows. So I have a radio show that actually is on Saturdays on Star 107 FM, and I just have created and just was asked to participate on a radio platform, WGLRO. So again, it has an opportunity inside it to actually go through and list a lot of the information, not only the upcoming show dates, but the times as well of some of the shows as well. Indicates guests that's on there to make sure that everybody knows who's coming and who's going to have an opportunity to dialogue with me.
So yeah, please take the lead here and kind of just run everyone through the website and everything.
Okay, up at the very top where you see there's all my social media links. So you can go to Facebook, you can go to LinkedIn. All those ones should drive you right to my contact information. YouTube, again, I just released 10 days ago. I'm closing out a series on Star 107 FM of something that we all said. And that's If I Only Knew Then What I Know Now. And inside that series, I just released a video for the season finale 10 days ago, and we're already looking at 41,000 views of that video. So I'm very, very pleased that individuals are coming around and listening to that and having the opportunity to get to those as well. And again, you can find me on all social media platforms, as from YouTube to iHeartRadio to Anchor, all those that are there as well, be able to find and connect with me, including down at the bottom of my website. If you have additional questions, you want additional information, you can always go in and complete the information. It sends an email to me. I automatically fire right back. I as well, on the very top, as it had before, and down at the bottom, has my phone number. So anybody want to reach out to me and contact me, you can dial that number and we'll go right into it and have conversation about anything and everything that you want to dialogue about, as well as talking about me hopefully becoming a speaker at your organization.
Great. And so is this mainly the big things in the website that you okay. Okay, nice. So the next question I have, though, is what's sort of the future of all of this?
I was asked that question about a year ago. When I had got done speaking in right outside of Washington, D.C., actually right there by the National Harbor. And a lady came up to me. She said, "Mark, I want to know, what is your ultimate goal? What do you plan to accomplish by the messages and the acronyms that you are discussing with people?" I said, well, her name was Ann. I said, "Ann, my goal and my mission is to change 1 million lives." And she said, "Mark, that's a pretty lofty task." I said, well, yes and no. If you look at it at a number aspect of it, yeah, 1 million could seem like a lot. But if you change 1, you're changing 2. If you're changing 2, you're changing 4. If you're changing 4, you're changing 8. And being in the industry which I am in, which is workforce development, education in space, as well as the facilitator of a national program, 1 million lives is nothing. I want to change legacies. I want to change. I want to change homes. I want to change generations. My goal is to make sure that when people think they can't, they can listen and realize that they can. When people are scared, they realize that they already have that net that's built in to catch them as they make that step. Each one of these acronyms, your mirror, air, growth, legacy, each one of them means something to each one of us in a different way. So sharing these is a wonderful opportunity, man, for me, not only to give back, but to make sure that I am doing what I've always called to do. That's change lives and change a generation to come. It's not going to happen for potentially my kids, but I sure hope the things that I'm talking about is enacted through my grandkids and their kids and the kids beyond that, to get this world back to this simplistic stage that honors accountability, integrity, responsibility, and respect.
Now, when we talk about your clients and how this all works, what are some of the most basic or fundamental ways you begin to teach your clients?
I asked them truly where they want to go. I learned that sometimes if we work backwards, a lot of times we can see the steps that we need to do to get to where we need to go. So I just ask them, what is your ultimate economic destination? Where do you want to be? And some people will say, I want to go to school. I said, think bigger. What do you want to do after school? I want to potentially, I want to be a doctor. Then what else? Do you want to have what do you mean? What, as a doctor, what do you want to do as a doctor? So I get them to stretch themselves. We think inside the box because we can only, again, we only can see. We don't have a vision. So I get them to really expand what they want to do and dial down into it. And then Jimbo, I make them write it down. Because when we write something, we become accountable to it. I didn't write it. You didn't write it. They wrote it. So now they have to look at what they said to me. And now we have a working point to where we can say, okay, let's pull that back out. Let's talk about step A. Where are you at with step A? Well, I haven't got to it, Mr. Smith, or something. Why haven't you got to it? We talk about procrastination is a thief of time. How long are you going to allow this time? Remember that 86,400. How long are you going to still have that hold you back to getting to where you want to go? Because you said you wanted to get to X, Y, and Z, right? So what do we need to do to make sure that we don't do that? So it's just making them work backwards, making them think bigger than what they actually are talking about, and then trying to connect the dots to work backwards to see how they can get there, but helping them also understand the importance of research, getting the resources that are there for them to get to those each individual steps. Because then, again, as I said before, they become accountable to it. They feel good about themselves for accomplishing it. And I also make them take another sheet of paper, and I want you to basically write down all the things that you had to do inside to get there. Write them down. Because once you look at it again and say, I had to study for 8 more hours, or I didn't get to go to this ball game today, or my wife wanted to really go out and go shopping, but we couldn't go shopping because I was studying, focusing on this. They go back and they circle back to those things and realize that, man, I made it. And then at the end of the day, when it's all packaged in pretty form, I like to take it, have it typed up, present it in a book, and give it back to them. It's called Your Success. That's the plan.
And when it comes to everything that you've accomplished so far, what are you most proud of?
The fact that I get to share this mission every single day. The fact that I can log in on Zoom and teach men and women every single day. The fact that I know that every day I am truly blessed. I am blessed to change lives. I don't take that for granted. I'm truly proud the fact that friends, families, individuals listen to the process, and they contact me back and say, Mark, man, that was an amazing message. But I didn't even think of it like that. When you talk about, I closed a series on the series 5 of the process was called Procrastination, the Thief of Time. And the last series or the last message that I wrote, which I spoke about in Mobile, Alabama, was the word legacy. And when everybody thinks about legacy, I mean, the first thing that comes back is leaving something for somebody else, which is true. But I said legacy is leaders exemplify greatness among choices over the years. That's legacy. So I want to be remembered, or I want one of my greatest strengths to be one of those leaders that exemplify greatness among choices over the years. And see, to exemplify greatness among choices over the years, you have to be able to dialogue about some of the bad choices that you made before and what you needed to do or what you did to correct those. So I'm most proud to have the opportunity to be able to talk about it. I'm most proud to be able to share that message. And I truly, truly am humble and I'm blessed to be able to dialogue with individuals such as yourself all the time, every day across the country that help share what we're doing.
Excellent. And if you were to go back in time and give your younger self some advice, what would you tell him?
I talk to myself about how to reset, man. I would. The importance of resetting, man, is just so amiss, man. I wasted so much time not taking steps back to reset from some of the things that I needed to do. And I always said, and I wrote it down, man. I just can't. There's 7 steps of resetting, and when we realize that we can do it, and we don't have to waste no time, then we get it. I said number one a step for resetting, man, is realizing when you stopped, right? Fall into a pit of ignorance of what to do next. What am I to do? We're wasting a lot of time. 86,400. That's all we got. Realize, man, that I was stalled. Whether it was by my own motivation, whether it was I allowed situations in life to stall me, allowed my time to be stolen. Taking the time to BS around when I know I should be reading. Right. I thanks to again, I have to give my wife credit. When I lost my job in 2018, she said, you know what you need to do? You need to start reading again. Right. You need to take your butt and sit down there instead of worrying about what you can't control. You need to start reading again and start sharpening your mind back up. So again, make sure that my time wasn't stolen again. Make sure that my dreams and things aren't shelved any longer. Going forward. I always laugh when I used to laugh all the time when I see the Nike commercial, just do it. I said, just do it. I mean, what do you don't fail. We don't fail, right? We are learning something all the time. Next thing I would tell young Mark is don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't do things that you shouldn't be doing just because you're doing it. That doesn't make sense. Think. Always think before you speak. Always think before you get into things. Next one I would say, Jimbo, is what I always say is don't be shifted. Life has a way of drifting you off course, right? We all talk about things that happen in our life. So we cannot allow ourselves to be shifted too much, right? We have to deal with things, but then get it back. And the last thing that we do to ourselves so much, man, is we sabotage our own success. I believe more people, there's just as many people and I think you'll agree, most people are just afraid of success as they are a failure, right? They're so scared. What if I do make it? What if I am good at something? And I didn't believe in myself. So I would say don't sabotage your thoughts, Mark. Believe in yourself, believe in your thoughts, and you'll be able to identify where you want to go. And those are the same things that I talk to young men and women about now is get a hold of those 7 steps to reset. Once you encounter them, stop, reset, and let's go. Stop, pull those papers back out of the things that you want to accomplish, reset, let's go. Stop, grab yourself, get yourself together, exhale for a minute, realize that your situation is temporary, it's not finite, right? 2 things, the only thing is finite is death. So get yourself together, get through it, because you're going to get through it. Minimize it what you can, get your thoughts back together, and then push forward. So I would just tell young Mark to embrace those, man. Get those together and act them all the time, and make sure that you are living a life that is transactional. Excuse me, not living transactional, but always living transformational.
Now, just to jump back quickly, your podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of your biggest tools, one of the things you use.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you start the podcast? And if you could name drop the podcast and any other products you're pushing out here now.
Yeah, man. It's called The Process. You can find it again on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, iTunes. It's on each one of the platforms. I've been blessed to have well over 19,000 plays in all my messages. So again, I'm truly blessed that is where it is. But I started, man, because I started as a simple YouTube video. January 15th, 2020 is when I did it. January 15th, 2020. I just did it because I said that, hey, I have a message. And my wife said, what are you waiting on? Right. She pushed me a lot to come to step outside my comfort zone as well. So I did, man. I did it. I said, you know what? No guts, no glory. Let's get it out there. Within a week, I had a couple hundred views on that. And then a friend of mine came to me and said, the owner of Star One came to me and said, man, I like your stuff. I like it. I think it resonates. Get it out there. Get it out there. I'll play it. And I said, I don't know if I want to do that. He said, well, okay, no problem. I'll never give you this offer again. So I had to, as Nike, I had to just do it. So it's there. You can go to YouTube. Again, go to my website, The Process Mark Smith. You can see any one of those YouTube videos. Again, the last one that I just hit 10 days ago is over 43,000 views. Listen, I tell everybody, we all have things that have gone on in our life and we have to deal with. Take a moment and find something that resonates and help you get to the next level, right? We're never called to be stagnant in life. We're all called to grow in life. So that's my message. That's what it's been predicated about. But also with my signature tagline, Jimbo, I always tell individuals that your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process.
Excellent. And, this has been a great talk, a great interview. Do you have any additional words you want to say to the audience? Any final words?
Yeah, I do. Believe in yourself, right? There's an old adage that says nobody believes in you but you. You have to be the one that thwarts what society thinks of you, thwarts what sometimes your friends think of you, but believe in who you are. You are you individually, your purpose. You're created different. You're designed to be different. You're designed to take things to the next level. Embrace who you are and live life the very best that you can every single day with no regrets.
Excellent. Thank you again, Mr. Smith. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So now we're going to drop some exclusive sponsors. Thanks again. So first sponsor is Six Figure University. One person's a barbershop, a salon owner. The other person is an engineer, and they both work together to help people with real estates and building their own salons. Very successful group of women. LifeWork Systems. So this is basically owned by a very successful woman as well. She's an affiliate partner and collaborative partner with us. And she basically helps other businesses as a super HR specialist, transforming the work environment and making it more positive and even better. And also we have a new website, and you could check us out on our Roku channel. Everything that we play now is going to be on Roku TV. So check us out there. All right, I'm Jimbo Paris. This is the Jimbo Paris Show. Thank you again, Mr. Smith. And I'm going out now.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Jimbo Paris Show.